What's up, guys? What's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. Today I'm going to talk about college football. It was a crazy college football weekend this weekend. My God, you had the competition committee select who they thought were going to go to the playoffs and who they left out. It was a hectic weekend to say the least. The competition committee made some decisions that I didn't agree with, some decisions that were outrageous. And quite frankly, I just was not a fan of it. So Michigan is in the playoffs at number 1. They will go against number 4 Alabama. That matchup alone. That matchup alone was questionable. Questionable. That matchup alone was questionable. Please, my God. That matchup alone was questionable. Then you have number 2 Washington going up against the number 3 seed Texas. Keep in mind the teams that stayed undefeated. Michigan was undefeated this year. Washington was undefeated this year. Alabama had one loss. That loss was to Texas. Texas had one loss this year. That was against Oklahoma. That score was 34-30. That's Texas' only loss of the year. Alabama had one loss. That was against Texas. Georgia only had one loss. That was obviously against the game that was played this past Saturday. That was against Alabama. Obviously, you know that. Florida State lost Jordan Travis. We know that gruesome knee injury that he had just a few weeks ago, probably about 2-3 weeks ago now. The competition committee actually said that Jordan Travis, they're a whole different team without Jordan Travis, is Florida State. But keep in mind, Florida State was undefeated. Texas was not undefeated. They got in. Alabama was not undefeated. They got in. But the competition committee said that without Jordan Travis, Florida State is a different team. That does not apply to anything. That does not matter to anything. If you are undefeated, you should be in. Point blank, period. It should not be Alabama with one loss in, Texas with one loss in. The only reason Alabama is in because they beat the number 1 ranked team in the country, that's Georgia. My heart is ripped still. The only reason why Texas is in is because they beat Alabama. They beat Alabama. Texas beat Alabama. That's the only reason why they're in. They have no business being in there anyway because Washington is going to dominate them anyway. I think that's my opinion on it. I think Washington is going to blow Texas out the building the way that Georgia blew BYU out the building last year. That's my personal opinion on it. If you could have seen the shock on those players' faces when the competition committee selected Michigan, Alabama, Washington, and Texas. If you could have seen the Florida State coaches and players' faces when the competition committee selected all those 4 teams except for them, and they were left out with an undefeated record, those players and coaches' faces were in disbelief. I've never, ever, in the 22 years that I've been alive, I've never, ever seen players and coaches in so much disbelief like those players were yesterday, watching the committee select those 4 teams instead of them. I have not seen it. Those players were taken back. Those coaches were taken back by what happened. It was horrible. It was a travesty that the competition committee would do that to those young boys and players that fight so hard every Saturday to go out and do what they do, to take the risk and play this violent sport in football, to go out and do what those young boys do on Saturday. And it's just like the competition committee, it's just like they just took it away from those boys. Like they just ripped their heart out and just took it away from them. They worked hard on a perfect season to not even be in the playoffs just because that quarterback had a gruesome leg injury / knee injury. He had that injury, and y'all just take it all away from him just because his season is done. I mind you that Michigan had cheating allegations all year. 2 separate times Jim Harbaugh was suspended The first time was for recruiting a player when he should not have been recruiting him at the time. And the second time was because of his cheating scandal. Y'all only gave him a 3-game suspension. Y'all only gave him a 3-game suspension. This man has been suspended twice for doing wrong. Yet they had a perfect season. Yes, they did have a perfect season. But Florida State also had a perfect season, and they did it right. They didn't cheat their way through. They didn't have the scout going to other people's games in disguise, thinking that he's not going to get caught. I mean, golly, man. Come on, competition committee. And I hate it for those players because you work your tails off. You work your butts off about 14, 15 Saturdays throughout this year to get nothing, to get left out. Alabama should not have been in it. Sorry. Y'all didn't deserve to be in it. I stand on what I said. Y'all did not deserve to be in it in the first place. I don't even know why y'all in it. The only reason why y'all in it is because y'all beat Georgia. They were the number 1 ranked team, obviously. They had no business being in. Jalen Milroe walking around like he's the Heisman. He's supposed to get the Heisman Trophy of the Year award. Mind you, early in the season, they benched you because you were playing bad. And now that you don't have a little success, you walking around here, oh, give me the Heisman, give me the Heisman. Bro, hey, excuse me. You don't deserve no Heisman Award. I don't know, after like these 2 past games, why you deserve the Heisman Award all of a sudden. Where was that early in the season? You got carried early in the season. You got benched early in the season. Now that y'all had a little bit of success, oh, you deserve a Heisman. Come on, bro. Stop it. Please, stop it. I just feel bad for Florida State. I really do. If anybody deserves the Heisman, it's Washington's quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. He put up unbelievable numbers this year. If anybody deserves the Heisman, in my opinion, it's Michael Penix Jr. Transitioning on to the next topic. Let's get into some NBA basketball. Play-in tournament. Not the play-in tournament, but the in-season tournament is tonight with those teams. But with the in-season tournament, we're going to go away from that. We're going to talk about the Warriors. Sometimes when you have those championship teams and when the other teams in the league have finally passed that championship team by, sometimes it's hard to accept that you're not the team that you once were when you were in your championship days, when you were in your prime, when y'all were rolling. Sometimes it's very, very hard to accept that y'all are old and y'all are not that same team that y'all once were. That's what I think that the Warriors are going through. You had those Piston teams with Isaiah, Rick Mahorn, all those guys, Joe Dumars. You had all those guys. You had Larry Bird with the Celtics, Kevin McHale, Roy Parrish. You had those guys. Even Magic Johnson, Lakers, Kareem, Byron Scott. You had those teams that they were in, even Michael Jordan them. You had those guys in those teams, they were in their championship days, but once they got old and those championship days passed them by, it was like, they're old. Yeah, they still have the same crew, they still have the same players, they still have the same team, but they're old. They're old. And that's all it is to it. Even with the Celtics with Ray Allen, KG, and Paul Pierce, yes, they battled for those years trying to win the championship, but they got old. They facing those young Miami Heat teams with D-Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron, a supporting cast to go along with those guys. Facing a young team like that that's hungry for a championship, those guys, Ray Allen them, Paul Pierce, KG them, they were old. It's time for the Warriors to start realizing these teams have passed y'all by. Y'all are old. yes, the Warriors are going to win some games. We know that. They still have Clay. They still have Draymond. They still have Stephen. But it's come to a point. I think Stephen Curry's turning 36 this month, I think. I might be wrong on that, but he's getting up there. He's still, I don't care what anybody says about Steph Curry. He is still the babyface assassin. He is never going to age. Ever. He is never going to age. That guy right there, he is never going to age. But anyway, you have to start accepting the facts that you are old. They are getting old. They're not the same team that they once were. And then when you have Clay, he tore his ACL that year. It took a lot out of him. He doesn't have that same bounce no more. He's always off balance on all of his shots. He's not going to give you a consistent night every single night. So it's hard for him. You see people like Derrick Rose, and when he had his ACL, it's hard for you to come back off these ACL injuries. That's what Klay Thompson's going through. He doesn't play the same on defense anymore. He's not going to put up 30 points a quarter anymore, which that's hard to do anyway. But one thing that these guys have to realize is that they're old, and those young guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, people like them, they want them to step up to the plate and do something. That's not happening. They both of those players have got better this year, but you still can't count on them just to carry the load. You add CP3, that's getting older. CP3's hurt right now. Not a surprise, not shocking, not breaking news, but I mean, that's older right there. They thought that was going to work. So far, that's not working. So at a point in time in your life, in all of our lives, I'm young now. I'm going to get old. I'm going to get old. We all get old. That's what the Warriors are going through in the basketball side of it. They're getting old. They're not that same championship team that they once were. They had 20-point leads against the Kings and the Clippers. The game with the Kings, the halftime score was 72-55. They gave up a 20-point plus lead at halftime. They were up 72-55 at halftime. The game ended up being 113-112, Kings winning by 1. With the Clippers, the game the Warriors played against the Clippers, they were up at halftime 67-48. Another 20-point plus lead. They end up blowing that game. Paul George is hitting a game winner on them. That's what I'm saying. Those prime Warriors, a 20-point plus lead at halftime in both of those games, prime Warriors team, when they would come second half, you wouldn't have a chance. You wouldn't have a glimpse of hope at all. But a 20-point lead is nothing in this NBA today because you have these guys putting up these threes at a high rate. You hit 2 or 3 threes in a row, you're right back in it. Just like that. Timeout, opposing team. 2 or 3 threes in a row, you're right back in it. So the rate that these guys put up threes, it's not surprising, but the Warriors is still not an excuse to why y'all are still giving up 20-point leads. Mind you, in that Kings game, Draymond Green can't control his emotions. He gets a technical foul. The momentum just shifts with the Kings. The momentum goes to Sacramento. They make their run. They come back. They end up winning the game. Oh, man. I don't even have time to get into the whole Draymond thing because you guys know what's up with him. You guys already know. I don't even have to get into that. It's just the fact of the matter is the Warriors are not in their prime anymore. They're getting old. These teams have passed the Warriors by. And their championship window is closed. I don't think they're going to be winning a championship. But I will tell you one thing I will do. I won't ever count out a team that has Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, or Draymond Green as a supporting cast on it. You can't count them out. It's just like counting out Tom Brady. Tom Brady got old. It doesn't matter. You counted him out, he still was going to do what he did. Simple fact of the matter. I cannot count the Warriors out with those 3 future Hall of Famers. That's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about the Warriors. Let me know what you guys think about what the competition committee did with the college football playoff standings. that being said, give me some feedback. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you guys later.